So, how you feel? I'll start.
Well, I'm feeling great, thanks, Whoopsie. So if it isn't the cackle of hysterical and at times histrionic hyenas of The View, my favourite show, certainly where I go to get all my political views, The View. I love every one of those ladies on The View, from their enigmatic leader, Shenzi, Bonsai, and Ed.
The good cicadas and the bad
So for the first...
Look, and there's Pumba.
Yeah, but my takeaway is that the system works.
Oh.
We live in a democracy. People spoke. This is what people wanted. I vehemently disagree with the decision that Americans made, but I feel very, very hopeful that we have a democratic system in this country. We should value it. We should love it.
Well, that is a relief. I am impressed, Joy Behar. I was not expecting such a positive response, to be honest, from you guys, but you're really restoring my faith in humanity. The world is healing, finally. So far, I'm giving this monologue 3, no less, good cicadas.
We should protest.
Oh.
If the situation arises that we need to protest, which I'm sure it will.
Oh dear, it sounds like old Joy is advocating for another fiery but mostly peaceful summer of love. Well, I don't know about the rest of you, but I'm all loved out. I'm very disappointed, Joy. Bad cicada.
And I've been through this before with Nixon.
Yeah, good point. And let's not forget all that you went through with Herbert Hoover, of course. My political commentary is really coming on strong, isn't it? This is basically the Rubin Report now. Except, of course, I'm not gay, so that's... I'll let you be the judge of whatever, you know.
It's been very difficult, but boy, oh boy, do we have a country if we can keep it.
Yeah.
Great. Yeah, she's really rallying the troops there over at The View, Joy Behar. Anyway, that's what today's video is going to be about. We're going to have a look at all of the happy hyenas over at The View, cackling away about the results of the election. I know it's been a week since it happened, but it's still nice to see stuff like this. So let's get into the video.
Who's Daniel Boland? Oh, Daniel Boland, this is a heavy hitter. Do you guys know who this is?
No, I'm profoundly disturbed.
Yes, you are profoundly disturbed, Bonsai. What you're going to notice about Sunny Hostin's little speech here, you're going to notice a speech pattern that I like to call the descent into hell, which is when the speaker notices that their words are not having the desired effect on the audience. And so gradually everything they say becomes more inane and pathetic and desperate. It's profoundly disturbing is what it is, Sunny.
I think if you look at the New York Times this morning, the headline was America makes a perilous choice.
Oh, well, that's it then, isn't it? If the New York Times describes a situation as perilous, peril abounds. It's time to mark all of your doors with lamb's blood. Some mostly peaceful times are ahead.
I think that in 2016, we didn't know what we would get from a Trump administration, but we know now.
Put on notice, if you fuck around with us, if you do something bad to us, we are going to do things to you that have never been done before.
The forgotten men and women of our country will be forgotten no longer. 2024 is our final battle. They stole our jobs and they plundered our wealth. The future does not belong to globalists. The future belongs to patriots.
Looks kind of cool. But don't get me wrong, the 4 years of Biden-Harris, that was cool too.
Man enough to cook my steak rare.
And we know now that he will have almost unfettered power. And so I worry, not about myself, actually. I don't worry about my station in life. I worry about the working class.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Those working class are a bit of a rowdy bunch, aren't they? Unless you meant it like in the sort of condescending way. Yeah, I know what she meant, actually. She meant like she's worried about them, like she cares about them, right? Yeah, she sounds just like me, actually, when I go down to the horse riding club to watch my daughter drive her ponies. I often pull that exact expression, I close my eyes, I turn my nose up. I'm actually quite worried about the working class. The people are actually over there, though. I just feel if I turn my head away like that and it sort of conveys my genuine lament, it makes me look more mournful.
I worry about my mother, a retired teacher.
Oh, snap. My mother is also a retired teacher. Sonny, this is really the tragedy in all of this. I've got to say, all of this dangerous rhetoric. I just found out on Wikipedia, by the way, that that's Sunny Hostin's degree, English and Rhetoric. So that's interesting. Anyway, she is worrying her poor old mother. Right, and she is old. She must be 1,000, because Sunny Hostin, she's pushing 60. So, mother, what's she, 90? You're worrying your poor old Puerto Rican mother who don't know what's going on. She's a retired teacher, and you're telling her, oh, the end is nigh. Look at her with a little mask on. She's terrified. People like this going around with their English and Rhetoric degrees, terrifying the idiots. The old, the infirm, the low IQs. Everyone's getting their knickers in a twist over, nothing.
I worry about our elderly and their Social Security and their Medicare. I worry about my children's future, especially my daughter, who now has less rights than I have.
I don't mean to be a grammar Nazi, Sonny, but I think you mean fewer rights. Maybe you should have done a little less rhetoric and a little more English, at uni.
And I remember my father telling me many, many years ago that I was the first person in his family to enjoy full civil rights.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Oh, okay, now not this again.
The higher you build your barriers.
First person in you've had full civil rights. Well, celebrate then. Jump for joy. That's a good thing.
And now I have less civil rights than I had when he told me that. So, again, I'm profoundly disturbed that the 14th Amendment of the Constitution did not prevent someone who participated in an insurrection from becoming president of the United States. I think our healthcare system is now at risk. I think...
no fluoride for anyone.
Yeah.
No fluoride for anyone.
No fluoride for anyone.
Yeah.
There are few people in the world that bring me as much joy as Joy Behar.
The good cicadas and the bad stuff.
Economists have made clear that he's going to increase the debt by $7.75 trillion.
Bajillion dollars. That amount of money doesn't even exist.
I'm worried about mass deportation and internment camps, and I'm also worried about Elon Musk warning Americans to prepare for temporary hardship.
Oh, don't forget NATO.
For NATO?
I'm surprised at the result, but I'm not surprised. As a woman of color, I was so hopeful that a mixed-race woman married to a Jewish guy could be elected president of this country.
Well, first of all, I would ask you why. That's a bit of a weird thing to say. But second of all, I would say she could have been elected, but she was awful. Everyone hated her, except for like the last 2 months when everyone kind of pretended to love her for some reason.
Vote and elect Kamala Harris.
Vote like your life depends on it, because it does.
And I think that it had nothing to do with policy. I think this was a referendum of cultural resentment in this country.
You know what? You're absolutely right, Little Miss Sunshine. It was a referendum of cultural resentment, as you so eloquently put it. And the American people rejected the culture of the lizard. Get your shape-shifting ass out of the White House.
I'm obviously
Mexican?
very disappointed. I'm very sad. I was at the Kamala Harris headquarters yesterday in Washington, and it was a very sad scene.
So you won't hear from the Vice President tonight? Thank you all.
Never an easy moment.
And think about this. She did this in 2 months.
Yeah, and frankly, you should be over the moon, Shenzi, that she only got 2 months at the helm. A woman so devoid of personality, of charm, of any discernible talents. A social climber like Kamala Harris, just the definition of mediocrity, of slithering your way to the top. The disdain it shows for the electorate, right? That they've just come off the back of months or years of denying that there was anything wrong with Joe Biden, and then they put Kamala in front of everyone. That incompetent boob, right? It's not okay. She could have destroyed the Democrat Party if she'd had any longer than 2 months.
No. She did this in 2 months.
She left it all on the field.
Yes, she did. She, you know, everybody can always say, oh, she should have done this, she should have done this, She did what she did. She was everywhere. She talked to everybody, and people didn't come out. I don't know why.
I don't know why. That shrill, cackling idiot, that woman who never answered a question in her life, the most repetitive woman I've ever heard in my life, the most boring, unfunny, uninteresting person I've ever heard run for office. I mean, perhaps the next worst would be Amy Klobuchar. You remember her? I think that was her name, wasn't it?
A tweet. He made fun of me for talking about climate change in the middle of a blizzard, and he called me Snow Woman. So I wrote back, hey, Donald Trump, the science is on my side, and I'd like to see how your hair would fare in a blizzard. So I wrote back, hey, Donald Trump, the science is on my side, and I'd like to see how your hair would fare in a blizzard. So I wrote back, Donald Trump, the science is on my side, and I'd like to see how your hair would fare in a blizzard. Sometimes, if you haven't noticed, you use a little humor. Like when he called me Snow Woman at my announcement in the middle of that thing, I wrote back on Twitter, I'd like to see how your hair would fare in a blizzard. So I wrote back, hey, Donald Trump. So I wrote back, hey, Donald Trump. So I wrote back. I tweeted back. The science is on my side. And I'd like to see how your hair would fare. And I'd like to see how your hair would fare in a blizzard. And I'd like to see how your hair fares in a blizzard. And I'd like to see how your hair would fare in a blizzard. Mr. Umbrella Man. Senator. And he called me Snow Woman. So I wrote back, I'd like to see how your hair would fare in a blizzard.
She was bloody awful too. I don't think she was as bad as Kamala.
Some pundits are asking what the vice president could have done differently to break through with the voters. Of course, she only had 3 months to campaign, rally. She kicked his butt all over the country over the course of those 2 months. She did every debate, every interview. People kept saying they didn't know who she was, so then she told them who she was. So how much more could she have done?
What I'm about to say almost feels redundant because it feels like you're answering your own questions here, Whoopsie. But I've got to say, it's almost as though $1 billion and going on every show on earth didn't convince anyone at all. It's almost as though nothing, no amount of Kamala being shoved down our throats made us like her or ever would.
Or should she? I mean, aside from buck naked dancing on the top of the table, I don't know what else she could have done.
Whoopsie, please, those days are long behind, Kamala. Thank you very much.
I think she could have done more. I think she left it all out on the field. I think she raised $1 billion in 3 months. I think that she ran a flawless campaign, and I maintain that.
I keep hearing that word, flawless. A flawless campaign from Kamala. It was bloody flawful.
Finland, kids in nursery school are learning to discern between fake news and real news. Yeah. They should be teaching that in this country.
Yeah.
It ain't the kids who don't know how to discern, to distinguish between fake news and real news. It's my mother's generation who are publishing pictures of purple owls on Facebook saying, look at the wonders of nature. It's a fake photo. It's a filter, you idiots. All right? There ain't no purple owls.
Teach children tolerance. Teach them to think critically.
Well, it would help if we could regulate social media, because one of the biggest offenders is D.C. and Congress have not been able to do one thing in regard to the rogue corporations of social media.
It's not going to get any better with Elon Musk now in the administration.
Yeah, who wants to go back to the good old days when 2 national newspapers basically told us what to think, eh? Black and white was everything back then, no grey areas. And that was the way I liked it. Terrifying. Absolutely chilling times ahead.
Hey, I just want to give some free advice to the white progressives, particularly white progressive women who...
How about no, not today, Joy. I've had enough joy with Joy Behar today. No more joy for me today. La 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 la. No. We're all joyed out here on the Daniel Boland Show. We're overjoyed. Anyway, I think we're finished for today's video. I hope you've enjoyed it. I certainly did. If you have enjoyed it, give the video a like, eh? You know, let the algorithm, the universe know what a lovely time you've had here. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and join my Patreon if you want to help out with the Daniel Boland Show, that it may keep going forever. You know, I want thousands of you on there. Millions! Okay? That's the dream. Thank you very much to everyone who is helping me out on Patreon, and I'm trying to get as many videos out as I can at the moment. But you know, I'm on it, is what I'm saying. I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.
Always remember, you're not behind. You're just on a different path. The path of a tiny gay person